let's try to define assets according to, the dictionary definition of a CIA asset, and then, get deeper into the conversation. Now, the CIA asset is an individual who is recruited or leveraged upon by the CIA, that's Central Intelligence Agency, to provide information, intelligence, or assistance in a covert capacity. Assets are not necessarily CIA employees, but they're often foreigners, informants, or insiders in position of influence within a government, military, corporation, or other organizations. And their role is to gather intelligence that helps the CIA achieve its strategic objectives, often related to national security and geopolitical interest. Now let's hold that on one hand. Let's also look at, the reason this came up in the first place. The reason this came up is because David Hundeyi, yes, that's his name.
Yeah, that's his name.
I always confuse him with the other one.
No, his name is David.
David, yes. So David Hundeyi said while he applied for the FOIA, the revelation on the president, the CIA interrupted that revelation, citing that, look, they cannot reveal things relating to an asset, as that would affect individuals and organizations that asset has come in contact with. Now, from what you know, is it in the place of the CIA to make such a revelation? Can the CIA say, look, this person is an asset? Public revelation that this individual is an asset, so we cannot talk much about this individual. Is that done? That's on another hand. I hope you'll be able to, to keep up. That's on another hand. Now, thirdly, if truly the president of Nigeria is an asset of the CIA, a foreign organization, what does that portend? Now, let's bear in mind that there are certain things that have come up. The Chicago issue, the talk about the president, being accused, money's being found in his account when he was in the U.S. In the 80s, when he was in the U.S., money's been found in his account. About $1.8 million was found in his account, frozen, and then there was some plea bargaining done where he forfeited about $460,000. And then there was no trial, so he wasn't declared guilty. Could that have been at the point where he became an asset? Hey, help us unbundle all of this if you can.
Okay, wow, quite a mouthful. Okay, now I like the definition of asset as you have read it out, and one of the things I do know or understand about the CIA is that they are an organization that is saddled with intelligence gathering and protecting the interest of the United States of America outside the United States. And I also know that from some of the experience we've had over time, there have been leaked papers. Like we have had about 2 or 3 papers that have been leaked that has given out the names of some of the assets of CIA, and this has led to a lot of issues in terms of the security and jeopardizing even some of the investigations they are doing. And I must say that just like the CIA, you have all of these other organizations in other countries. Just Nigeria has its own. We have the DSS, which is an internal one. We have the NIA, which also does something similar to what the CIA does in the US. So, and all of these organizations have people, knowingly or unknowingly. There are people who are assets to some of these organizations who might not even be aware of being an asset. And I'm not saying that of the president is in that way. I don't have any information as regards that. But the truth about it is that these organizations will do everything to protect whatever assets they have that gives them leverage in getting information that they need to use. And they will always want to protect it. And you must also come to terms with the fact that there's a policy in the United States that it is only after a certain period of time that you can declassify some information. And until that time, all this information, even when you go to court, they will still present these issues that no, this thing we cannot do because this person would become a big liability if we have to divulge this information. Now, the information, what we are talking about now, is something that happened in the United States of America, in a court in the United States. And that is their own procedure in terms of dealing with such issues. For me, I think Nigerians, we tend to read unnecessary meanings into everything. Rather than take issues based on the facts on the ground that we see, we will give it different meanings and we start interpreting things the other way around. So for me, I think if the president is an asset to CIA and the CIA says so, well, I would want to maybe the president come out to tell us, how do you become an asset? If he is not, then he should come to tell us he is not an asset to the CIA.
Mr.
But
Ishaka, looking at the
yes.
word they used, they said he was once a pastime drug traffic and investigation record. That is what led to this. You know, how can we have a #1 man that people are talking of fingering that has something to do with drug trafficking? Isn't that ambiguous enough for Nigerians to get concerned at this point in time?
I don't know. Everybody, you see, the very instance you become politically exposed, you become a target of all sorts. You would have issues that would drag you in. People will say things about you. People will allege things about you. People will take you to court for even things that you never even knew in your life. So, and until the courts pronounce whether you're guilty or not, we cannot say that such a person is guilty of such a crime. And we've seen this in cases that were taken to court even before the election and during and after the election and during the processes of the courts in Nigeria. And there are pronouncements that have been made on these issues. So for me, I don't make assumptions based on what the sentiment of people around. I want to look at the facts and figure. I would want to look at what the pronouncement that has been made, and I want to stick with that rather than having conjectures and all of that.
Should we be concerned, really, that this is coming up, whether it be true or not? Because if you do recall, when during the Supreme Court hearing as to whether the president, won the elections or not, when that was in court, Nigerians, there was this filing in the court in the United States for information on the president, and there was a revelation being made. I think the FBI did say that they were going to reveal a 150-page dossier on the president, but that revelation never came out. Should Nigerians be concerned that the president of Nigeria might be held by the jugular by the United States and, asked to do things that might be detrimental to Nigeria? Because if he's an asset to the United States, he might be controlled by the United States, don't you think?
Well, I think there are issues that are pulled apart here. You see, I've worked closely with security agents and agencies as a journalist, and I know the way it works. If you are an informant, for instance, it does not preclude you from being charged for a criminal offense if you commit one. Rules of engagement dictates that, even as a matter of fact, the moment you are engaged as an informant, you shouldn't be found conniving, aiding and abetting, or committing a crime. It's a double jeopardy. But that case we were referring to, initially, the Justice Department said they were willing. Then the next appearance in court, the next hearing, they said
they were willing.
They recant. They were willing to reveal certain documents.
It's better we get everything out.
You understand?
Yes. Okay.
But subsequently, at the second hearing in the case, they said they have reviewed the circumstance and they were not ready to go on to reveal.
Doesn't that point to something, really?
You see, for me, there are some information that are classified at certain level that you're not supposed to release.
No,
I'll give you an instance.
Okay, go ahead.
When there was this issue of we are going to try Dasuki, former NSA, I kept telling some of my friends then that there's no way you can try an NSA in the open court because that country would burn. Because there are some things that are closed in that office that must not be discussed in the open.
Okay.
Anywhere in the world, office of NSA is like a coven. And whatever happens in the coven, the initiated must not hear.
We're not talking about the NSA now. We're
No,
talking about the
I'm
number
just giving
one
you
man.
an instance.
Okay. But we're talking about the number
there are
one
some
man
classified
in
information.
Nigeria. So this is
let me give you an
concern to
example. Let me
us.
give you an example. There is MI5. MI5 publishes a magazine and circulated exclusively to certain number of people around the world. As at 1996, 97, when military was still in government, there are just only 5 people that get that subscription in Nigeria. I can mention that name now because he's no longer alive. Chief Richard Akinjide was one of them.
Okay. Mr. Fanimo, this is deviating from the question, really.
I'm not deviating. I'm just telling you that if they had decided to reveal and they came back to say they cannot reveal, who am I to comment?
My question is, doesn't it point to the agency, the United States, having something on Nigeria's leader that might be detrimental to the way governance is being done in Nigeria if he's being controlled or asked to do things because of certain engagement, certain exposure? Where does that put Nigeria if that be the case?
That is an assumption that it's likely to happen. We don't have facts to show that that is the case.
But if that be the case, where does that put Nigeria? What? We've also heard that IMF and the World Bank, the policies that they bring out are compelling this administration to put out policies that are choking Nigerians. The issue of subsidy removal. Some Nigerians have said it's not in the interest of Nigeria that is done. It's because of the powers that be, and these powers that be, IMF, the World Bank. So my question still is, if the president of Nigeria, if the United States has something on him, and based on that, he's been asked to do their bidding, where does that put Nigeria?
I'll still come back to your question and tell you that these are assumptions. And I can't put a finger on assumptions.
Sorry, Dele, let me come in now. Let's operate on the basis of assumption. Let us speculate. An assumption is either this or this. Now, Moses is asking, and I'm asking the same question. Let us even conclude that we have a president who is a CIA asset. What does that portend for Nigeria as a country?
Well, it comes in 2 ways.
Okay.
Either for negative reasons or for positive reasons.
Can we know?
For instance, if, like you said, it is assumed.
So it's confirmed.
No, let's assume.
No, we have left the basis of assumption. We have now confirmed.
Who are we? You?
Nigerians have now confirmed that we have a president who is a CIA asset. And based on the definition of asset given by Moses, how does that affect Nigeria?
Well, that I said, it's either positive or negative.
Like
for instance, it could give advantage to Nigeria in terms of, for instance, negotiating for armament.
Okay.
If he has a relationship with US and he can access some of these high-tech armament to denigrate Boko Haram or any other bandits and killer herdsmen. So if he has that, it's a plus.
Okay, so what's the negative aspect then?
The negative aspect, part of it could be that, for instance, we're talking about these Bretton Woods institutions. They are there to also give advice, and it's not sacrosanct. But on the basis of his relationship with the U.S. government, he might want to take advice from this institution.
He might be compelled to take advice from these institutions.
I'm not saying compelled.
No, he's asking, might he be compelled?
No, it may not be compelled.
Just advice.
Okay.
Not
Well, let me pose this question to Mr. Badamosi as well. If you heard it, just go ahead.
You see, the thing is this: we even as Nigerians here today, I think I'll have two answers to this. As it is today, myself and all of you in the studio are today assets to the DSS in this country. I'm not sure whether we are aware of that.
No, we are not.
No,
Because yes, we are. Because everything we discuss on radio, on television, on the internet is being monitored by all of those security agencies. So in one way or the other, and most of them, and these security agencies, the institutions, they know all of those people that speak or that address issues, or journalists that takes up such issues. And for me, I think the Bretton Woods institutions are owned by we shareholders. America is a huge shareholder in them, and they could leverage on that to force a lot of things down our throat. That is a fact. I don't disagree with that. And if Tinubu is that's the president now, is an asset, as in maybe they have something on him, it might be detrimental. Yes, very detrimental to the economy of Nigeria, to the Nigerian people, and he might be compelled to do the bidding of these institutions, or even the bidding of the government of the United States. But for me, I think all of these are still in the realms of assumption. And we should, as much as possible, try to see if we can lay hands on concrete facts. But we cannot have a situation whereby the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria would in any way be inhibited by any agency any foreign agency or any government outside the country on the policies and things he has to do in Nigeria. That would be very dangerous. That would not be to our interest. And the fact also I must state here is that whether we like it or not, whether we accept it or not, our government, the people who are in government in this country, as well as other African countries, are being controlled by a number of all these Western powers, because they have leverages over them in one way or the other. And these are facts, except maybe when our leaders have broken those shackles and they've removed that cord that gets them tied to all these foreign institutions or governments abroad.